Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. Both of us and our amazing team are excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every Wednesday. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. So let's get into talking point number one. Are the Ethereum ETF approvals imminent this week? In my opinion, I think so. With the recent news about the potential for the spot Ethereum ETFs getting approved this week, the market has been ripping. Ethereum alone in the last week is up 30%. And the approval dates right now are set for the 23rd and 24th for the various Ethereum ETFs. So I think everyone just needs to remember and be prepared that if they don't get approved, this is a minor setback. Many industry leaders believe that it'll be a 75% chance of approval this week, but just in case that doesn't happen, just don't have a knee-jerk reaction because we will likely see a pullback in Ethereum for a little bit, but everyone just needs to always relax and when in doubt, zoom out. So Armando, take us through this news. What are your thoughts? And what do you think is going to happen in the next few days with this approval?
So now this is really, truly huge news, but that 75% number sounds familiar to me.
It does.
That's exactly what we said earlier this year. We said back in January, February, there was a 75% chance in May. People said we were crazy. No way they're going to approve it. The SEC is attacking Ethereum. They said that they were going to arrest Vitalik. All of these crazy stories. And now exactly what we said is coming to pass, right? Those were all they were all tricks, and they were all like things to distract you from what was happening right under the surface. It's because it was inevitable that the Ethereum ETF will be approved because the Bitcoin ETF got approved. And that paved the way for Ethereum. Ethereum has a clearer utility value than Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin got approved, there's no way they could deny the Ethereum ETF. This is great for mainstream and also institutional investment. Now, if the SEC does approve this Ethereum ETF this week or next week, it's going to cause a huge influx of capital and also interest into the Ethereum ecosystem. And this is what I've always said, right? As I said that I believe that Ethereum will one day be the number one cryptocurrency on the planet. And I think this is the first step to that actually come into place. And I think that Ethereum has a much easier utility use case to explain to the average investor.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see the market's reaction just this week alone, the anticipation of these approvals have caused all the markets to rise, especially Ethereum. As I stated, it's up like 28, 29% just in the last week. So we definitely need to keep an eye on how this unfolds. But the message today for everyone listening and following along is, if it doesn't get approved, this is a minor setback. There's no reason to worry. There's nothing changed what we believe will happen with Ethereum in the crypto markets in the coming months.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to talk a little bit about the price action for Ethereum. Now, right now, Ethereum sits around 3,700, right? All-time highs for Ethereum were 4,700. That happened back in 2021, sometime around that time. And I always said that Ethereum was behind where it should be because Bitcoin reached all-time highs, a month or two ago, I believe, and Ethereum was still kind of falling short of that. So this Ethereum ETF approval or maybe getting approved is going to push Ethereum back to its all-time highs where it should be in parity with Bitcoin right now. Now, if we go back to 2021, let's go back a little bit farther, back down to 2018-19, the lows of Ethereum was $200, $300. And we go to 21, the height of that cycle, Ethereum got all the way up to 4,700, right? That's over a 20 times return. So if we move on to the bottom of the last cycle, Ethereum got down to around $1,000, right? So right now it's on the path, I think, to over 10, 15,000. If you just look at the 20 times return from 2020 to 21, and now if you fast forward to today, if we only get half of that, or just a percentage of what that gain was in the previous cycle, a $10,000 Ethereum is very, very believable.
Yeah, I think it even goes further than that. We've talked before 12, 14, 20,000, maybe not in the next year or two, but definitely in the future. And we have to remember with this ETF approval, these multiple ETFs approval, this will bring institutional investors on board and will really herald a new wave of interest and legitimacy towards the whole cryptocurrency sector, not just Ethereum. And it's an exciting prospect that I can't wait for us to see how this evolves, because, we've been in this for a very, very long time, and it's really tricky to still believe we're early, which we really are, because if you think about it from an adoption perspective and a legislative perspective, it's really only gotten moving in the last 18 months to where everyone is really getting involved. So these ETFs approval can really move mountains and set us up for where we believe, and we've always believed, the cryptocurrency space could go. So I'm really excited about that.
Now I got a question for you, Robert. I don't know if you've heard, I don't know if you guys listening have heard, but Justin Sun, who's one of the crypto billionaires out there. He also owns a couple of crypto companies. He just revealed that he's been aggressively investing in Ethereum during these fluctuations of the market. Now I want to know your opinions on how this could affect the overall Ethereum market going forward.
Yeah, I think it's very impactful. Holding a portfolio valued at around $2.5 billion makes him one of the largest individual holders in the crypto space. And his strategy, characterized by large purchases on different platforms, is really smart. And it really just highlights his bullish stance on Ethereum overall, but also could sway market perceptions and investor confidence, because, we know who he is, but a lot of people in the retail sector don't. And it's just really, really good overall long-term for the market. And with Ethereum's transition to a proof of stake model, which makes staking all the more significant, I think this could be huge news, as you say, coming forth in the crypto markets.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this about Justin Sun, is that he's also involved in staking. He has huge interest in crypto staking, with the biggest in Ethereum. Now, he's been acquiring over the last few years. And what this shows us is how the rich, the elite, and the banks move. When everybody else is looking away, distracted by football, whatever that is, entertainment, the rich, the elite, and the banks, he's worth what? I think I saw 1.4 billion. And he still is acquiring. He's still paying attention. He's still moving forward. Yep. He's not satisfied. He continues to grow his wealth. And this is what people need to pay attention to, is that these rich people, they stay on top of markets. They stay informed. They make their decisions when everybody else is looking away. And that's how they continue to build great wealth. Now, he's been doing this. And what the great thing about what he's doing is that he acquired when it was cheap. And he's still acquiring now, even though it's going up, because he knows that it's still going further. And he's doing this right on the cusp of Ethereum and the rise of DeFi in the Ethereum ecosystem.
I mean, that really just leads to you and I, even on a smaller level. I'm still acquiring Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and everything else on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. And my first Bitcoin purchase was at $7. You don't ever really stop when you believe in something. And yes, it'd be great if I had more at those earlier prices. But you also have to look at it that if we believe one Bitcoin is going to be $250,000 to $500,000 or maybe even $1 million, then $60,000 or $65,000 seems like a steal to me. And that's what everyone needs to realize, because I don't know about you, but my DMs are loaded every single day. Is it too late? And I don't know why people think that. Even 2 weeks ago, when people were asking me in my private investment group and in my private community, is it too late for me to get into Ethereum? Should I buy more Ethereum? I'm like, yes, you should be buying more Ethereum, absolutely. And now it's up 30% in 1 week, because as we get more and more adoption and more regulation and more good news, it's going to continue to grow. This is the future of money. End of story. That is it. And everyone needs to understand that, yes, are there going to be a lot of cryptocurrencies that could go to zero? Absolutely. But not the projects we're talking about, because we're not gamblers. We are investors. And that's where we're trying to keep all of you that follow along focused on the matters at hand, the adoption, the big sectors, and the best of breed in every sector, which is so, so important. And it's also really significant that the SEC contacting exchanges like the NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange to revise their Ethereum ETF applications suggest we might be really close to getting that regulatory approval. It literally could happen in the next 48 hours. So this is just very, very great news and a major shift in how cryptocurrencies, particularly Ethereum, are perceived and traded in institutional circles. So it's definitely a positive sign for the broader acceptance of the crypto assets.
Yeah, I want to add something here real fast. Is that the question that people ask us, they say, is it over or is it too late? That question itself is a fallacy because that means that they believe that the crypto market will either plateau or crash. You don't ask that in gold. You don't ask that in stocks. You don't ask that in your house. Is it too late to buy a house? No, because it's probably going to keep going up as the population grows, as real estate prices go up. It's never too late because those things continuously appreciate.
Yeah, the only thing I would say when it comes to cryptocurrency is it will at some point in either this bull run or the next bull run after the next halving, it will at some point lose the ability to have these huge upward momentum cycles because there will be so much adoption and so much money in these sectors and cryptos that it won't be these 100x, 200x. It will act more like a traditional stock or a traditional investment. Like you said a few episodes ago, you believe this is the last major super cycle, and I agree with you. It doesn't mean that cryptocurrency is going anywhere. It just means it will be more traditional investments. It'll be viewed as a more traditional investment in the future, and the returns will follow that lead. So it's very important to understand. So I want to get into the next section, and I want to riff a little bit here about something really fun today, and that is the government loosening its stance on crypto? I don't know how much you guys have been following Trump's campaign, but he's really, really leaning on cryptocurrency as being something big for him, and I think it's incredibly smart, with Biden always either not knowing or talking down about cryptocurrency, and then Trump steps in and says it's one of his number one priorities. I think it's genius, and it is a definite thing that has to happen for the U.S. because what we can't do is lose all the innovation to other countries because Biden wants to continue on this witch hunt and his, people in his cabinet and such against cryptocurrency. And one of the things that I thought was really cool that I saw happen today is that Trump is now accepting Doge, Shiba Inu, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana for payment for campaign contributions and his merch. I think this is really a smooth move for him in getting a new voter base and really helps, I guess, get everyone to understand that cryptocurrency and blockchain are not going away. And if the government were to keep a hardened stance, which I don't think they can or will, it really just drives innovation out of this country and will ultimately hurt us for decades to come. And so that's why we just really have to see, will Biden possibly soften their approach moving forward prior to the election? Because I think it's too dangerous for the U.S. to push further innovation out of the country. So walk us through what you think on this, because I just think it's one of the biggest narratives going into this election of now all of a sudden we're going to see all of this great news coming from both sides that they're all for cryptocurrency because they're trying to figure out how to get elected.
Yeah, I think by November, the election, it really will be a big issue. I think that's going to be one of the top, let's say, 5 issues of the campaign is what to do with cryptocurrency. But just both sides even talking about it or referencing or having these fights over it shows us that how transformative blockchain technology is that it's now a political point or a political argument. If we went back 10 years ago, nobody would have even believed that would have happened. It was a niche currency, it was mostly techies and a little bit of financial nerds, but it was not like it is now. It shows us how far Bitcoin has come. Now, if the SEC does approve the Ethereum ETFs, it's going to draw a lot of new investment. It's going to draw a lot of big names, a lot of capital, a lot of banks, a lot of rich and a lot of organizations are going to invest in Ethereum, and it's going to mimic what happened with the Bitcoin ETF. I think it was in January that they approved the Bitcoin. It was the 26th, I think. Now, before that, we saw Bitcoin go from around 12, 13,000 already up to 40,000. within a few months. Now that's it was like 80%, I believe, something like that. Now I may not be right, but it's close. Now we're going to see that same type of move in Ethereum, if not more, because Ethereum started out lower. Ethereum was a little bit behind already, and Ethereum did not have the attention that Bitcoin had. We may see a higher percentage gains from Ethereum going forward. Now, the biggest thing that will happen if the Ethereum ETF is approved, if the government steps on board of overall cryptocurrency market is all of a sudden going to have a new level of acceptance and credibility that never had before. So now we're going to see a lot of people that were on the sidelines all this time. You cannot say it's a scam if there's a Bitcoin ETF. You can't say it's a scam if there's an Ethereum ETF. You can't say it's a scam if Trump accepts it as his campaign for campaign. You cannot say it. It's no. If you can't be a Trump supporter or Biden supporter, once Biden accepts it and say crypto's a scam, that argument is done. It's over. So now that big roadblock is gone, we're going to see a huge amount of people that feel like they missed the boat jump in.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems like aligning with, or at least not actively opposing crypto, could be the strategic advantage. And I think that's why both Biden and Trump are easing their kind of overall view on it, because it is going to be a huge talking point to see who can do it the best to help them win the presidential election. And as other countries start to develop and innovate in cryptocurrency, we just have to be the leader, because otherwise we could even lose some of the top cryptocurrency exchanges that are already from the US to other countries if we don't soften that approach. So let's go into kind of the other important part of this right now. And let's talk about, do we believe that traders are still reeling from the crypto liquidations? So shed some light on this, the massive liquidations recently in the crypto market. And it seems like a significant number of traders are getting caught off guard. So what exactly happened and why was it so significant? Because for us, it doesn't really matter. I look at the long term. I'm already looking at where we're at in 2026, 2027. What are the narratives that are going to win? Where are we going to make the most money? Which of these coins and companies are going to do the most disruption? But let's talk through the recent liquidations and what it means to the overall market and the price action.
Yeah, so the unique or funny thing about cryptocurrency is it has an emotional component to it, right? Is that sometimes people short stocks for many reasons, or either assets for many reasons. They stock because they see a strategic advantage. They short something because they feel like that company is going to fall, that whatever industry or whatever asset's going to fall. And some people will short a company because they hate it.
Yeah.
And it was actually a guy, I forget his name, you may remember him. He took out a huge short position on Herbalife. Yep. It is because he just hated the company. It's like he couldn't really tell you why he took billions and billions of dollars of a short position, and he lost a lot of his investor money because Herbalife continued to go forward. He was sure it was a scam and it was going to fall because he hated the CEO. And he lost a lot of money because his emotions caused him to make a irrational decision. Now, cryptocurrencies are like that too. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people in traditional finance, a lot of people who know people who made a bunch of money in crypto. They hate it to their core. And I believe this causes more shorts to be taken out against cryptocurrency. A lot of people truly in their heart believe it's going to crash. There's no way this digital thing can compete with regular money. Everything they've known in the past. So this caused 90,000 people to be liquidated once this Ethereum ETF news hit. And that's including Bitcoin and Ethereum. When Ethereum rose to 3,800 and Bitcoin passed the $70,000 mark, 90,000 people got liquidated and lost everything because they had big short positions out expecting Bitcoin to crash. Now, that's quite staggering. It was over $297 million from short positions were lost due to this crash, right? And like I said, is that this just shows us that this market, you have to be careful. You have to practice risk management because it's very difficult to judge which way it's going short term. Long term, we can see. Short term is difficult because it's news driven, it's technology driven, innovation driven, and we really don't know when those things are going to come out.
Yeah, and it's different too because we talked on the Rich Habits podcast last week about this. that we live in a market where technical analysis sometimes is thrown out the window. These markets don't always make sense. We live in a market, especially in cryptocurrency, where hype cycles are real. You can look at the analysis, you can look at the company, let's talk meme coins. Some of it makes no sense, but that doesn't matter. We are here to educate people on how to build wealth and navigate the crypto markets. And so it's not always based on, the technical analysis. I read an article last week, and it's funny because I was the true essence of being on the other side of the fence, that 212 economists out of like 300 in 2022 predicted a recession for 2023 and 2024. Yet in 2023, we had one of the biggest bull markets in history. So that just goes to show you that you can't always just look at the technical analysis, because there's more to it than that. There is what is happening in the news, these hype cycles, what communities are behind what projects that are blowing these projects up, who's spending the most on marketing. And that's why I get to enjoy doing this with you every week, is trying to give people a better understanding so they can zoom out and understand how to invest properly in the crypto markets so they don't get wrecked, because we do live in an era where there's a ton of shilling. We talk about this all the time, and I like mentioning it because so many people see a crypto being talked about by 10, influencers, and they're like, oh, this must be great. I'm going to dump all my money in it. Well, guess what? They're getting paid to tell you it's great. So that's why you have to always ask the question, or ask them in a comment, are you getting paid to sponsor this, if they don't mention it, because that's how you get wrecked. So just always keep that in mind. Do your research, and we can go from there to make sure you guys are on the right path for investing in the cryptocurrency space.
So I want to put another point in about technical analysis, because I like how you said that the technical analysis is not the part, is part of a greater picture, right? And a lot of these people, they'll attack me, and I'll say a coin's going to do well or whatever. You'll say it. And they say, you didn't look at the charts. The charts say this. And I'll say, well, it doesn't matter.
Right.
With NVIDIA, it didn't matter what the chart said. But because the hype is real, like you said. And you have to remember this, is that a lot of people gravitate to charts because it's actually the easiest thing to do.
Yep.
The hardest thing is macroanalysis. The harder thing is interpreting the news and innovations and figuring out what stocks, what assets, what cryptos are going to do well based on this news or this innovation. That's the hardest part, because it requires a larger set of knowledge. You can learn how to read charts in 3 weeks.
Yep.
There's programs out there that will spit out numbers and signals to where what to do. That's why people gravitate to that, because it's simpler, it's more absolute, and it's easier just to go by the charts. Now, when you tell people to go look at the greater picture, you have to actually have a greater set of knowledge, and people avoid that. That's the reason why a lot of people gravitate to charts. I'm not discounting charts, but I'm just saying it's part of a much bigger picture.
Yeah, and I think that's why we've done so well over the years and decades, is because we have a greater understanding of where the money's going and not just looking at a chart. And you mentioned macro understanding. That is the key to building wealth and being able to understand it. So when you're doing your research, you can understand more than just the chart, but where is it going? I called out that I felt EV was going downhill bad 6-8 months ago, and was telling everyone that would listen, I would be careful of your EV positions, because everyone was in ChargePoint and Neo and Rivian, and look what happened there. They are all tanking. Same thing in other sectors. Like right now, I've been very verbal that I think Apple's in an innovation crisis. I've said it for months and months. I got out of my Apple position for the first time in over 10 years, and I just think it's going to continue to struggle for a while. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, but I don't think so. So it's just all about understanding the entire market picture of what it's painting to you and what it's showing you, so people can make educated decisions. So thank you all for joining us today on the Crypto Trends Podcast. You can find us at Crypto Trends Podcast on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And we appreciate you joining us each and every week for the Crypto Trends Podcast. Please make sure to share it with a friend, give us that 5-star review, and let others know about the podcast if you enjoy what we do.